Imagine it's the early morning alarm that stirred your sleep. The sky is beautiful and the air is refreshing. You finally decide to wake up before it all ends. But if you're living in a place like Goa, chances are that you would wake up to something like this almost every day. Wonderful sunrise and breathable fresh air.
Wasn't that a little unreal? Well, it was. In reality, things like perfect mornings don't exist. If you search India on Google Earth, you'll see something like this. But an actual satellite photo might look more like this. That grey smudge is air pollution, and it's coming from cars, factories, and power plants. But it's not only here. In cities all over the world, air pollution is a big problem. A majority of Indians now live in cities, and that number is only going to rise, which means more cars, more factories, and more power plants. Cities are centers of industry, but the resulting pollution is filling our lungs and making us sick. One major culprit is the particulate matter. A particulate matter is airborne particles of dust and smoke that are released when we burn fossil fuels or during construction and farming. When we inhale them, they can cause asthma, and they can also enter our bloodstream to cause strokes and even death. As we explore options for fighting air pollution, there is one more tool that is often overlooked: trees! Planting a lot of trees! Firstly, a tree removes particulate matter when polluted air blows through its branches. Secondly, trees cool temperatures by providing shades and releasing water in the atmosphere, which cools summer temperatures by about 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit. They are our best friends and who don't demand or complain about anything, but we are indifferent towards them. But there is a catch. Trees can only clean and cool their air within a close radius, about 100 feet. So we need to be careful where we plant them. We can maximize pollution reduction by planting trees where population density and air pollution overlap. The second method we propose uses water sprinkler, a common tool available in every household these days. What do? To reduce the dust in a field, we sprinkle water over the field so that the dust settles. Same will be done but at a bigger level. This will be installed on top of a high-rise buildings and towers. This will assist in settling particulate matter from the surrounding and will significantly reduce pollution levels of the locality. The third and the most important method being proposed by the modern day scientist is called biochar. Now, you might be wondering what biochar is and how it could help drastically reduce air pollution. Before explaining what biochar is, we first need to know a few terms like biomass and charcoal. Let's take a quick look at them and then move towards knowing biochar. Charcoal, lightweight black carbon and ash residue produced by removing water and other volatile constituents from plants and animals. Usually produced by slow pyrolysis, that is heating of wood or other substances in the absence of oxygen. Biomass, waste material from plants and animals that are not used for food or feed. Example, manure, human waste from sewage plants or other farming waste. Now we define biochar. Biochar is charcoal used as soil amendment. made from biomass via pyrolysis. When buried in farm fields, it acts like a giant carbon sponge holding in moisture and nutrients that boost crop yields. Buried charcoal is extremely stable and can lock up carbon for hundreds or thousands of years. But how biochar can help reduce air pollution? Generally, biomass is burned naturally to dispose of and hence produces a lot of carbon dioxide (CO2) into the atmosphere, which results in global warming. To reduce this emission of CO2 into the atmosphere, an alternative approach is used, which is making biochar from biomass via pyrolysis. The biomass, which was earlier converted into CO2, is now being converted to biochar, thereby reducing air pollution. This reduction of carbon and atmospheric CO2 by capturing it under the soil for a long time is known as carbon sequestration. Biochar also helps grow plants and vegetation as it is rich in nutrients. These plants also reduce the level of CO2 in the atmosphere, thereby curbing air pollution.
Now let us listen to the testimony by our college professor Dr. Clint George, where he talks about pollution from his experience.
I just want to highlight two things that I have seen in Goa. Okay, and one is about segregating the waste. Okay, so for example, when you are collecting, collecting waste from the source, we are not segregating paper waste and plastic waste. We have options for segregating dry waste and wet waste. Okay, and in dry waste we just put everything: plastic, glasses, paper, everything. And if we have an option to recycle paper waste, that is one way to save the trees. Okay, so the other thing I would like to talk about is that if you go around the campus and even on campus, you will see people are just burning the grass or agricultural waste. Okay, so this agricultural waste is it's not dried well, and if you burn it, it will just emit lots of gases, and that is not good for the environment. Okay, so the best option is come up with a plan for composting agricultural waste. Okay.
After mitigating air pollution, let's look at another major area of pollution, that is water pollution. People have relied on the abundance of ocean since the beginning of human history, but things are rapidly changing. Scientists predict that by 2048, the ocean will be depleted and fisheries will cease to exist. Billions of people rely on fish as their primary source of food and income, a number that will continue to grow over the next few decades as the world population increases. A collapse of ocean fisheries will be a massive threat to the food security and well-being on this planet. Nations around the world are pursuing better management practices and sustainable fishing in an attempt to curb this loss. But it's not enough. Despite our efforts, the health of ocean is decaying even faster than initially predicted. To see the bigger picture, we have to go much, much smaller. The whole oceanic ecosystem obtains energy, food and nutrients from tiny green phytoplankton, microscopic organisms that play a critical role as the base of the marine food chain. They grow and multiply through the absorption of sunlight alongside water, carbon dioxide and micronutrients such as iron. Phytoplankton is the food of zooplankton, which in turn are consumed by small fish, which are themselves consumed by larger ones, and so on. For their health, phytoplankton depends on the natural fertilization of iron-rich winds and upwelling currents, which have been ongoing for millions of years. However, as a result of climate change, winds and currents are changing, and the oceans are getting warmer. This hinders the mixing of surface layers, separating phytoplankton from the nutrients they need to grow. When phytoplankton is in danger, the whole ocean is in danger. Less plankton means less food for fish and other organisms, and it's all a downhill from here. With a continual decline of plankton, we're facing the collapse of the marine food chain as we know it due to climate change. The question is, what can be done? Over the last several decades, scientists have observed that iron-rich dust of volcanic eruptions can create massive plankton blooms over deserted areas of the ocean. On several occasions, scientists saw the volume of wild fish in these areas increase significantly, far beyond expectations. Given these observations, experts began to consider what might happen if humans could mimic natural volcanic iron fertilization to boost ocean life. This process is known as ocean seeding. Ocean seeding offers an opportunity to begin repairing the damage to our ocean that we've done over decades, rebuild wild fish stock, and improve food security for growing populations of the world.
We have proposed many solutions which have the capability to really curb all types of pollution, but this immense shift cannot be made without everyone's valuable contribution. Change cannot be achieved overnight or by only one person or organization. We say our environment and not an individual's environment, so everyone is accountable. So as a starting step, we have planted a small plant in our room, and we believe that everyone watching will also follow. Numerous big organizations are working towards finding solutions to mitigate pollution, but the principal change will happen only when every individual contributes a small part towards the cause. A major step towards this cause will come when each and every person is aware of these issues. This is our main aim in producing this documentary. All the scientific advancement will account to nothing if nobody implements the solutions. Environment protection is not a profession, but is a value that every human should have. So start by sharing this video with your friends and increase your locality's awareness.